Sakti Bells arrived at the New Republic Southern Military Hospital. The perfect, pristine, and sanitized white walls of the facility reflected blinding light from the sun. No other building on the planet could even compare to such a brilliant, shining castle of unparalleled progress. Compared to other hospitals, the military hospital was state-of-the-art and unrivaled on the planet frontier. Civilian hospitals may as well have been dumps in comparison. The only thing that stood out among the cleanliness of it all were grizzled soldiers in dirty green jumpsuits. All the soldiers looked very out of place. They weren't doing much of anything aside from standing around. As soon as Sakti stepped out of her truck, one soldier hurried over and escorted her into and around the front of the facility. Her visit was contingent on her having an escort throughout the facility, among a long list of other restrictions. The soldier led her to an office near the entrance. He opened the door and thrust Sakti inside. "Soldier, she's all yours, Doc." The soldier waved at the doctor stationed inside and took off without wasting a moment. The doctor was a small Arterrex with rough, scaly green skin. The Arterrex were short reptilian creatures with long noses and ears. The Arterrex were a small part of a broader species called Rakar, who all had similar characteristics, namely being somewhat reptilian. This planet, Frontier, was mostly populated and governed by humans, but the Arterrex were the second largest population. "Doctor, Miss Bells, it is a pleasure to finally be able to see you here." "Sakti, thanks, Doctor." "Doctor, well, shall we get moving? This facility is quite big and it might take a while to get through with these short old legs." The Arterrex doctor grabbed his cane and led Sakti through the hospital, albeit not very fast. They walked through a series of long, narrow hallways that all looked the same. Sometimes Sakti and the doctor would use an elevator that led to another, similar set of hallways. It felt like walking down a hallway with no end. "Doctor, the military never allows visitors into their hospital, but your friend's circumstance is rather unique, so they are willing to make an exception. I'll tell you, it wasn't easy to arrange your permissions. You know how it is with these government types and their red tape." "Sakti, sorry for causing you so much trouble, Doctor." "Doctor, don't apologize. Your father did a lot for me back in the day. The least I can do now for him that he's moved off-world is to allow his daughter a few favors at my expense." The doctor stopped at a door secured by a keypad lock. He punched in some numbers and swiped his keycard down the side. A quick beep chimed and the heavy metal door opened. The two entered a pitch-black hospital room that lit up as soon as they entered. It looked more like a research lab than a hospital room. Still, it had everything a hospital room needed, as well as some more specialized research equipment tucked away against the ceiling. The back wall was cordoned off by a heavy security bulkhead. A door next to the bulkhead was decorated with an extensive warning sign. The doctor motioned to a nearby chair. "Doctor, go ahead and take a seat there, miss." Sakti complied, and the doctor hopped in a chair of his own. He raised it up high so he could reach the human-sized desk they sat in front of. The doctor interacted with and organized the cluttered holographic display in front of him. He messed around on the computer for a bit. He did not speak until the silence between them was too much to bear. "Doctor, I'll be frank with you, your friend's condition isn't good. The life support system is keeping his condition stable, but it won't last forever. His condition will eventually deteriorate, gradually, until he will pass away." "Sakti, I've already known that. I've known that for a while." "Sakti, how long does he have? Can't you do anything?" "Doctor, that's a difficult question to answer. He could still yet live months or years, maybe even decades. It is hard to say. As for what can be done, frankly, my associates and I are out of our depths. We have no experience with his kind's physiology. There's simply no point of reference for us to work from. There are no others like him on this planet, and he's probably the last of his kind, at least this far out in the galaxy." We've pored over the oldest medical records we could gather and still had no success towards finding anything worth mentioning. Sakti, so there's no progress toward recovery at all? We'd have to sit here and watch him die? Doctor, all we can do for the time being is to keep him in the life support system. Until we know more about what we're dealing with, I'm not comfortable selling you procedures that will likely have little, if any, benefit. These treatments are expensive enough as is. Now, if my team could examine the assailant's weapon, it might give us some clue as to how we should proceed. But the Ministry of Defense is keen on keeping the weapon behind lock and key for whatever reason. It's a bureaucratic mess, to be honest. Getting permission for you to visit was hard enough. They won't even budge on letting us examine the attacker's weapon, though. Sakti, I see. Is it alright if I see him? Doctor, well, yes, I suppose. That is what you came here for, after all. The doctor hesitated, but eventually entered something into the computer which opened the security bulkhead at the back of the room. Doctor, now, miss, don't be alarmed. As I warned you before, it is rather gruesome. The doctor directed Sakti's attention toward the back of the room. The bulkhead opened and revealed someone who was no longer recognizable, submerged in a life support tank in the back of the room. There was a gruesome wound on the person's side. Some unknown affliction caused their body to deteriorate. It was hard to believe they were even still alive. Sakti, taken aback, emerged from her seat. She slowly approached the window separating this room and that. She put her hand upon the cold glass and stared through in horror. She felt sick, like her heart was being pulled out from her throat. Doctor, it is difficult to believe, really. Who would have thought one of the Arenka, those said to be immortal beings, could sustain such an injury? Sakti had no response. Doctor, well, you take as much time as you need. I'll wait outside for you. We can go back to my office and talk more there. Sakti pressed her head against the glass. What remained of the person on the other side was only an arm's reach away, but felt farther away than ever. She could not get any closer. Sakti, can you hear me? Isker? What should I do? Say something, or open your eyes. Do something. Anything. Just don't leave me alone.